The planet Zephyra shone like a jewel in the vast darkness of space. Its cities glimmered with towers of crystal and metal, and the sky was filled with the light of 1,000 ships that moved with quiet precision. Zephyra was known across the galaxy for its peace, knowledge, and advanced technology. At the heart of this beautiful world ruled Princess Lyra, the youngest heir of the royal family. She was known for her courage, intelligence, and kindness. Her people trusted her, and even her enemies respected her fairness. Lyra woke early that morning to the usual sound of the royal gardens buzzing with small hover drones tending the glowing flora. The air was filled with the scent of sweet flowers and the soft hum of energy shields above the city. For a moment, everything seemed calm and perfect, but deep in space, far beyond Zephyra's peaceful orbit, a dark shadow was moving, one that no one on the planet had fully noticed. The Krylar Dominion was a fearsome empire of war-minded aliens. They were ruthless, powerful, and had conquered dozens of star systems without mercy. Their fleet moved like a predator through the galaxy, and their next target was Zephyra. Princess Lyra had heard rumors of a Krylar attack, but she had hoped her planet's defenses would be enough. Zephyra had never surrendered to any invader, and the royal fleet, equipped with the finest ships and weapons, stood ready. But hope, she would soon discover, could vanish in the blink of an eye. It began with a single alarm. Red lights flashed across the palace walls as a deep rumbling sound filled the city. The sky outside the window was torn by streaks of fire. Lyra ran to the observation deck, her heart pounding. She could see the first Krylar ships entering the atmosphere. They were enormous, black and angular, with energy weapons glowing like hot coals along their edges. They moved with terrifying speed and precision. Lyra's personal guard scrambled to prepare the royal fleet for defense. But the Krylar ships were faster and stronger than anyone expected. Shields that had withstood meteor storms and smaller invasions flickered under the assault. Explosions shook the city, sending debris flying into the air. Panic began to spread among the citizens, but Lyra refused to run. She stood tall, giving orders and encouraging her people, though her hands trembled slightly. "Prepare the fleet. Activate the planetary shields, evacuate the civilians," she commanded, her voice steady, though her heart raced. The royal fleet leaped into the sky, energy blades humming and thrusters blazing, ready to meet the invaders. But even the finest Zephyran pilots were overwhelmed. The Krylar Dominion was not just strong, they were smart. They anticipated every move, adapted to every strategy, and destroyed ship after ship with terrifying efficiency. Lyra watched in horror as familiar landmarks on her planet were torn apart. The main palace, the pride of Zephyra, was hit by a massive energy blast. Crystal towers that had stood for centuries crumbled like sandcastles. Fires spread quickly, consuming everything in their path. Families screamed as they ran for cover. It was chaos unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. Even the royal family was not safe. Lyra saw her parents and siblings, clad in ceremonial armor, trying to fight off Krylar troops landing near the palace. They were brave, but there were too few of them against the massive invasion force. A powerful strike separated Lyra from her family. She tried to call for help through the communication crystal, but the line was cut. A crushing feeling of helplessness gripped her. She retreated to the palace's hidden corridors, a maze known only to the royal family. She ran past halls filled with broken glass, overturned furniture, and the occasional frightened servant huddling in fear. The once beautiful walls were scorched and cracked. It felt like the heart of her world had been ripped out. Lyra found a secure chamber in the lower levels of the palace. Here, she paused, taking a moment to catch her breath. Her royal robes were torn, and dirt and smoke covered her face. She leaned against the wall, her mind racing. How could this happen? Zephyra had always been protected. Its fleet was strong. Its people were brave. And yet, in a matter of hours, everything seemed lost. Outside comma. The sounds of battle continued. The Krylar troops moved through the streets, their alien voices strange and threatening. Ships hovered above, scanning for survivors. Lyra realized she was completely alone. Every strategy she had learned, every plan she had imagined to defend her planet, had failed. The sense of despair was overwhelming. For hours, she remained hidden, listening to the destruction. Tears fell, but she wiped them away quickly. Crying would not help. She had to survive. She had to find a way to protect her people, even if it seemed impossible. By nightfall, the city was barely recognizable. Fires burned across the horizon, lighting up the alien ships above. Lyra finally dared to peek outside her hiding place. Smoke and ash filled the air, and the once bright streets were now filled with rubble and chaos. The Kryler fleet had taken control of the skies. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Her people had looked to her for leadership, and she had failed to protect them. But even in the darkest moment, a small spark of determination flickered within her. Lyra knew she could not give up. If she allowed despair to take over, there would be no hope left for anyone. She had to find a way to fight back, to survive, to restore what had been lost. She remembered the legends of Zephyra's ancient protectors, stories of secret alliances and hidden fleets scattered across the galaxy. Perhaps, she thought, there was still a chance. Somewhere, beyond the stars, help might exist. Help that had been waiting quietly, unknown to most of her people, ready to answer in the moment of true need. Lyra gathered what supplies she could: emergency rations, a small energy blade, a portable communicator, and a map of the planet's secret routes. She knew she could not fight the Kryler Dominion alone. But maybe, just maybe, she could reach those who could. As she prepared to leave the ruined palace, she paused one last time, looking out at the destruction. She whispered to herself, "I will not let Zephyra die. I will find hope, even if I must reach the stars to do it." With that promise, Lyra stepped into the shadows of her city, moving silently among the ruins. Her journey had begun, not just to survive, but to find a way to save her people. The princess who had once ruled from a throne of crystal and light was now a fugitive, but inside her, a small flame of courage burned brighter than ever. The stars above, distant and unyielding, seemed cold and uncaring. But somewhere beyond the darkness, Lyra knew there might be allies waiting. And as the first night of Zephyra's fall settled over the planet, she took her first steps toward hope, unaware that her life and the fate of her world was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. The princess, lost in the shadows of her own home, was about to discover that even in the deepest despair, hope could arrive from the most unexpected places. Princess Lyra moved cautiously through the ruined streets of Zephyra. The city she once knew, alive with light and energy, was now a ghost of smoke, fire, and rubble. Her heart ached with every step she took. But she could not stop. To linger meant death. To give up meant the end of hope, not just for herself, but for the people who had looked to her for leadership. Her first goal was to reach the palace's lower-level communication hub. It was heavily damaged, but she hoped she could salvage one of the emergency transmitters. If anyone, anywhere, could help her, it would be through this device. Lyra moved like a shadow among the ruins, slipping past Kryler patrols. Their alien armor glinted in the firelight, their weapons sweeping the streets. She held her breath each time she saw them, hiding behind broken walls and twisted metal. At last she reached the communication hub. The console flickered weakly, but Lyra pressed her hands against the panel, focusing. She tried several emergency channels, sending encrypted distress messages. She knew Zephyra's allies might still be listening somewhere in the galaxy, even if no one had answered before. Hours passed and there was no reply. She began to think all hope was gone. Then, as if the universe had heard her silent plea, a signal arrived. It was weak and distorted, but unmistakable. A voice, calm yet urgent, spoke in an unfamiliar language. Lyra immediately activated the translation module. "Princess Lyra of Zephyra, we have been watching. We are coming." The message repeated twice, then disappeared. The signal came from deep space, far beyond Zephyra's known allies. Lyra stared at the console, disbelief and hope battling in her chest. Who could it be? Could this be some new ally? Or was it another trick by the Krylar Dominion? She had no way to know, but something in the message felt real. With renewed determination, Lyra studied the coordinates embedded in the transmission. They pointed to a location in a nearby asteroid field. It was dangerous territory, but if there was even a chance of help, she had to try. She packed her supplies more carefully, including the map of secret routes she had memorized from the palace archives. Every shadow, every hidden tunnel, and every emergency escape route could save her life. Lyra set out at first light, moving swiftly but silently. The streets were filled with the occasional patrol, fires, and the distant hum of alien engines. She avoided main roads and climbed over fallen debris. Along the way, she noticed remnants of her people trying to survive. Families huddled together in collapsed buildings, children crying for parents lost in the chaos. Her heart ached, but she could not help them all. She had to reach the coordinates first. The journey was perilous. Lyra navigated through the outer districts, avoiding open streets and using her knowledge of hidden passages. At one point, she came across a Krylar drone scanning the area. She held her breath and pressed herself against a crumbled wall. The drone hovered close, its sensors sweeping the ruins. She could hear its mechanical voice as it reported to distant command, but after tense moments, it moved on. Lyra exhaled silently and continued. As she traveled, she remembered stories from Zephyra's history. The legends spoke of ancient allies, hidden civilizations, and secret fleets scattered across the galaxy. Most Zephyrans had dismissed these as myths, but now, with everything falling apart, Lyra realized they might be real. Perhaps this mysterious message was connected to those forgotten allies. After hours of travel, she reached the outskirts of the city. Here the land became jagged and dangerous, filled with deep chasms, crumbling cliffs, and unstable energy fields. The terrain had always been difficult to cross, and now it was even more treacherous, littered with debris from the Krylar bombardment. Lyra moved carefully, using her agility and knowledge of the land to avoid falling into hidden pits. Suddenly, she heard a strange sound, a hum unlike anything she had heard before. It was mechanical, yet rhythmic, almost alive. She followed it cautiously, keeping low behind rocks and broken structures. The hum grew louder as she moved closer to the source. Finally, she arrived at the coordinates indicated in the signal. To her astonishment, she saw a massive fleet hidden in the shadows of a dense asteroid field. The ships were unlike anything she had ever seen, sleek, agile, and glowing softly with blue lights. They moved with silent precision, avoiding detection by sensors and patrols. Lyra's eyes widened. Could this be the help she had been hoping for? As she approached, a small craft detached from the fleet and hovered before her. A hatch opened, and a human figure stepped out. His uniform was simple but clearly of high rank, and his eyes held a calm authority. "Princess Lyra," he said in perfect Zephyran, "we have been expecting you. I am Captain Elias Grant. You are safe here." Lyra felt a surge of relief and disbelief. Humans. She had heard of them, of course. They were a distant species from the Sol system, known to some Zephyrans as explorers and traders. But she had never imagined they would be the ones to come to her aid. Captain Grant gestured for her to follow. As she stepped aboard the small craft, she saw more of the fleet. Each ship was equipped with stealth technology, advanced energy weapons, and defensive shields, unlike anything Zephyra had developed. The humans were not just strong, they were clever. Their fleet had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to act. As the craft ascended and moved toward the main fleet, Grant explained, "We have been monitoring the Krylar Dominion for years. When your planet sent the last distress signal, we knew the time had come to intervene. Our fleet may be small compared to the Krylar Armada, but our technology and strategy are designed to level the field. With your help, we can turn the tide." Lyra listened carefully, her mind racing. She realized that she would not be a mere passenger in this rescue mission. Her knowledge of Zephyra's defenses and the Krylar tactics could make a difference. She nodded. I will do whatever it takes, she said firmly. Over the next few hours, Lyra and the humans planned their approach. The Krylor Dominion had captured many of her people, including her family. The humans' mission was clear: infiltrate Krylor space, rescue the captives, and disrupt the enemy's command network. Lyra felt hope rising inside her. For the first time since the attack began, she believed that she might actually succeed. As night fell on the asteroid field, Lyra looked out from the bridge of the human ship. Stars stretched infinitely in every direction, cold and distant. But among them, she saw the glow of the hidden fleet, moving like silent guardians ready to strike. She felt a strange mix of awe and gratitude. Humans, a species she barely knew, were willing to risk everything for her people. In that moment, Lyra understood something vital. Hope was not passive. It did not come from wishing or waiting. It came from action, courage, and the willingness to trust others, even when the odds seemed impossible. And right now, with the human fleet standing by, hope was alive. The princess who had once felt powerless now had a new purpose. She would work with these humans, learn their tactics, and together, they would reclaim Zephyra. The road ahead would be dangerous, filled with battles, strategy, and uncertainty. But Lyra no longer feared the darkness. She had found a whisper of hope, and sometimes a whisper was all it took to spark a revolution. As the fleet moved closer to the outer edge of Krylor-controlled space, Lyra steeled herself. The real challenge was only beginning. Every ship, every maneuver, every decision would matter. She could not afford mistakes, not when so much was at stake. Yet, as she prepared for what lay ahead, she felt a fire ignite within her. This fire was different from her fear or anger. It was the fire of determination, courage, and belief in allies. For the first time in what felt like forever, Lyra smiled. The stars above were still vast and unforgiving, but with the humans' fleet by her side, she believed they could reach even the darkest corners and bring light back to her world. The princess had survived the fall of her kingdom. Now she would lead the fight to restore it, and somewhere deep in the human fleet, a new friendship and alliance were beginning, one that would change the course of the galaxy forever. The human ship glided silently through the asteroid field, weaving between massive floating rocks that could have crushed any ordinary vessel. Princess Lyra pressed her hands to the railing, staring at the blinking lights and sleek hulls around her. She could hardly believe her eyes. Dozens of ships, each shaped with precision and purpose, were hidden in the shadows of the asteroids. This was not a fleet built for show. It was built for strategy, stealth, and efficiency. Captain Elias Grant noticed her awe and smiled. "Impressive, isn't it?" he said. "We've been in hiding for years, waiting for the right moment. The Krylor Dominion doesn't know we exist yet. By the time they realize, it will be too late." Lyra nodded, her mind racing. How can such a small fleet even hope to face the Krylor Dominion? Their forces are enormous, and they've already destroyed most of Zephyra's defenses. Grant's expression was calm, almost confident. It's not about size. It's about tactics, precision, and knowing the enemy. We've studied the Krylor for decades. They are powerful but predictable. They underestimate humans, and that will be their mistake. Lyra felt a spark of hope. The Krylor had seemed unstoppable, but perhaps there was a chance, if they used strategy instead of sheer force. She realized then that this fleet, though smaller, was organized, smart, and adaptable. She had never seen such discipline combined with such cleverness. The ship docked at the main command vessel, and Lyra stepped into the bridge. The view was breathtaking. Holographic maps projected the positions of stars, asteroids, and enemy fleets. Humans moved efficiently, coordinating maneuvers, analyzing data, and giving orders with clear purpose. Everything was precise, yet nothing felt rigid. Lyra sensed that these humans could adapt to any situation, and that gave her courage. Captain Grant introduced her to his officers. Each one had a different specialty: navigation, weapons, communication, and tactics. They all greeted Lyra respectfully but without hesitation. She realized that the humans trusted her knowledge of Zephyra as much as she trusted their skill in battle. For the first time, she felt like a partner, not a burden. "Princess Lyra," said Lieutenant Mara, the tactical officer, "we've already mapped Kryler positions near Zephyra. We know where the captives are held, and we have a plan to reach them without being detected. But we will need your help to navigate the planetary defenses and get to the key targets quickly." Lyra's pulse quickened. This was what she had been waiting for. The humans had the fleet, the skill, and the technology. She had the knowledge of her planet and the Kryler's weaknesses. Together, they could make a difference. "I will do everything I can," she said firmly. "Tell me what to do." The next hours were filled with preparation. Lyra studied maps of the Kryler-controlled zones, learning their patrol routes, energy shield patterns, and supply lines. She explained the hidden tunnels, abandoned stations, and secret hangars that only someone from Zephyra would know. The humans listened attentively, asking questions and taking notes. Lyra felt a strange mixture of relief and determination. For the first time in days, she felt like she had a real chance to save her people. As the sun set over the asteroid field, the fleet went over the plan one last time. The humans had designed a strategy that relied on speed, surprise, and careful coordination. Smaller strike teams would infiltrate Kryler territory, using stealth technology to bypass sensors and avoid direct confrontation. Lyra would lead a team to the main holding area where her family and other captives were kept. Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet would disrupt Kryler communications and prevent reinforcements from arriving. Lyra's mind raced with the possibilities. The plan was dangerous, yes, but it was better than waiting helplessly. She thought about her parents, her siblings, and all the citizens of Zephyra. They were counting on her. She could not fail. During the briefing, Grant placed a hand on her shoulder. "Princess, I know this is difficult, but remember, you are not alone. We will fight with you, and together, we have a chance to succeed." Lyra nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Captain. I believe in all of you, and I promise I will not let you down." With preparations complete, the fleet moved toward the edge of Kryler space under the cover of the asteroid field. Lyra watched from the bridge, her hands gripping the railing. The stars stretched endlessly before them, vast and unforgiving. Yet among them she saw the faint outlines of enemy ships. The Kryler Dominion was strong, but they had no idea this fleet was coming. The element of surprise was on their side. As the fleet approached the outer perimeter of Kryler-controlled space, Lyra's team prepared their small strike ships. Each craft was equipped for speed, stealth, and precision. Lyra checked her own gear: energy blade, communicator, and emergency tools. She could feel her heart beating faster. This was no longer just a plan. It was about to become real. Grant looked at her, his face serious. "Once we enter Kryler space, there will be no turning back. Every move must be calculated. Every decision matters. Are you ready, Princess?" Lyra met his gaze with steady eyes. "I am ready. For my people. For Zephyra." The fleet moved silently into Kryler space, using the asteroid field to mask their approach. Sensors scanned constantly for threats. Energy shields hummed softly, ready to respond to any attack. Lyra studied the holographic maps, memorizing patrol routes and key positions. Her knowledge of Zephyra's hidden routes allowed the humans to plot the safest path to the captives. Hours passed as the fleet moved closer. Lyra felt tension build in the air like a storm waiting to break. Every shadow, every flicker of movement could be a Kryler patrol. Yet through it all, she felt a growing sense of confidence. The humans were skilled, disciplined, and courageous. And she had finally found allies she could trust completely. Finally, they reached the first checkpoint near the main Kryler holding area. Lyra's team separated into smaller strike crafts, each moving stealthily toward their target. Lyra felt her pulse quicken as they approached the enemy perimeter. She could see Kryler sentries patrolling the area, their weapons scanning for intruders. But thanks to stealth technology and careful planning, the team remained undetected. Lyra whispered a prayer to the stars above, hoping for luck, courage, and precision. The success of this mission would determine the fate of her family, her people, and her planet. She felt the weight of responsibility, but also the strength of hope. The human fleet had shown her that even in the darkest moments, courage, skill, and determination could make a difference. As the strike team moved closer to the holding area, Lyra took a deep breath. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment to fight back, to reclaim what was lost, and to prove that hope could survive even the most overwhelming odds. She knew the path ahead would be dangerous, filled with challenges, but she was ready. For the first time since the fall of Zephyra, she felt that victory was possible. The stars stretched endlessly around them, but now they felt different. They were no longer cold or distant. They were full of promise, courage, and allies who had come when they were needed most. The human fleet was not just a collection of ships. It was a lifeline, a symbol of hope, and a reminder that even in the darkest night, light could be found. Lyra looked at Captain Grant and the crew around her. "Let's bring Zephyra home," she said quietly but firmly. And with that, the fleet moved forward, ready to face the Krylar Dominion. The princess, once alone and hopeless, was now part of something greater, a force of courage, skill, and determination that would fight for freedom, justice, and the survival of her world. The battle had not yet begun, but the first steps of hope, strategy, and alliance were already in motion, and somewhere deep in the shadows of enemy space, the Krylar Dominion would soon learn that underestimating humans, and Princess Lyra, was a mistake they would regret. Word count: approximately 1,305 words. The human fleet moved silently through the black expanse of space, shadows among the distant stars. Princess Lyra sat in the bridge of her strike craft, her eyes fixed on the holographic map that displayed the Krylar Dominion's stronghold. Every detail mattered: the patrol routes, energy shield positions, communication arrays, and the location of the captives. Her heart beat fast, but her mind was sharp. The fate of her family, her people, and her planet rested on what they were about to do. Captain Elias Grant stood beside her, calm and composed. "Remember, Princess," he said, "precision is key. We move quietly, strike swiftly, and get out. Every second counts." Lyra nodded. She had studied the plan countless times, memorized the patrol rotations, and discussed contingencies with the humans. She felt prepared, yet a flicker of fear remained. The Krylar Dominion had proven themselves ruthless and powerful, but she also felt something stronger than fear: determination. She would not fail. The fleet split into smaller groups, each taking separate paths to avoid detection. Lyra's craft moved toward the main holding area, where her family and other captives were imprisoned. The stealth technology rendered the craft nearly invisible, gliding past Krylar patrols like a shadow dot. As they approached the perimeter, Lyra's pulse quickened. She could see the Krylar sentries, tall and armored, their weapons scanning methodically. The human strategy relied on timing and distraction. Another team would create a diversion at the outer gates, drawing attention away. From Lyra's approach, every movement had to be precise. Lyra whispered to herself, "Hold steady. Focus. We can do this." The strike team advanced, moving silently through the corridors of the Krylar station. Lyra's knowledge of Zephyra's architecture helped them navigate areas that were lightly guarded or had hidden maintenance routes. The captives were deep inside, but the path was clear, if they could avoid the sentries. Suddenly, a warning blared on Lyra's communicator. "Intruder detected. Section B." Lyra signaled her team to halt. A group of Krylar guards appeared, ahead, their weapons raised. Lyra's heart pounded. She took a deep breath and activated her energy blade. Blue light shimmered along the edge, a comforting weight in her hands. The humans moved with her, using non-lethal restraint tools to subdue the guards. The fight was swift but quiet, leaving no alarm triggered. Lyra felt a surge of pride. Her people had trained her well, and the humans moved with incredible skill. As they continued deeper, Lyra saw a large containment chamber ahead. Energy shields pulsed around the entrance. Inside, she glimpsed familiar figures, her parents and siblings surrounded by frightened citizens. Lyra's heart leaped. Her family was alive. "Almost there," she whispered. The team quickly analyzed the shield controls. With Lyra's knowledge and the humans' technical expertise, they bypassed the main barrier. The shield shimmered and then collapsed, giving them access. The captives looked at Lyra with disbelief and hope. "Princess," her mother exclaimed. You came for us." Lyra ran to them, embracing her family. Tears of relief mingled with the stress of the mission. "We are getting out of here," she said firmly. "Follow me and stay close." The return path was not easy. The Kryler Dominion had noticed the diversion and were mobilizing reinforcements. Alarms blared through the station. Lyra's team moved quickly, coordinating with the humans outside. The strike team neutralized patrols as they went, using stealth and strategy to avoid open combat. Every second counted. Meanwhile, the human fleet engaged the Krylor armada in space. Though outnumbered, the humans used precision attacks and smart tactics. They targeted communication arrays, disabled weapon platforms, and blocked reinforcements. Explosions lit the darkness of space, but the humans' efficiency minimized damage to the surroundings. Lyra watched through the window as the fleet moved. Like a living organism, every ship knowing its role, every captain trusting the others. Back inside the Kryler station, Lyra's group reached the final exit. The corridor opened to a large hangar where their extraction ships awaited. The humans had prepared for this moment, and the ship's engines hummed softly, ready for rapid escape. Suddenly, a Kryler commander appeared, blocking their path. He was tall, armored, and menacing. "You will not escape," he growled. Activating his energy weapon. Lyra stepped forward, energy blade in hand, determination blazing in her eyes. "We will not fail," she said calmly. The humans flanked her, creating a coordinated strike. In a tense but controlled confrontation, they neutralized the commander without casualties. Lyra felt a rush of adrenaline. Her training combined with the human skill had worked perfectly. The captives were ushered onto the ships, and Lyra joined the last group. Engines ignited and the crafts lifted off, heading for the fleet in space. The Kryler station erupted behind them as the humans' fleet executed their final strikes. Explosions and energy pulses illuminated the void, but the extraction crafts moved swiftly, shielded by human stealth technology. Lyra's family clung together, eyes wide with relief and amazement. They had been trapped, helpless, but now they were free. Lyra looked at them, feeling the weight of responsibility lift slightly. She had saved them, but there was still work to be done. As they reached the human fleet, Captain Grant hailed them. "Welcome aboard, Princess Lyra. The first part of our mission is complete. Now we ensure the Kryler Dominion cannot harm Zephyra again." Lyra nodded. She understood that freeing the captives was only the beginning. The Kryler forces still controlled much of the region, and Zephyra was vulnerable. But with the humans' fleet and her knowledge of Zephyra, they had the chance to strike strategically. Over the next hours, Lyra worked with the fleet commanders, planning their next moves. They identified key Kryler command ships, supply lines, and communication nodes. Each target was chosen carefully to maximize impact, while minimizing risk to civilians. Lyra realized that this was more than a rescue. It was a turning point. The Kryler Dominion had thought Zephyra was defeated. They were about to be proven wrong. The fleet moved toward their first strategic target, a large Kryler command vessel orbiting a nearby moon. Lyra watched from the bridge, her pulse steady, her mind focused. Every maneuver, every calculation, every decision mattered. The humans moved with flawless precision, and she felt a deep sense of admiration and trust. When the attack began, it was swift and calculated. Small strike teams disabled key systems on the Kryler command ship, while the main fleet blocked reinforcements. The Kryler fought back, but they were unprepared for the humans' tactics. Ships moved like coordinated shadows, striking where least expected. Lyra coordinated with her team inside the command ship, ensuring the mission remained on track. After tense minutes that felt like hours, the command ship was neutralized. The Kryler communication network was disrupted and reinforcements were delayed. Lyra's heart swelled. This victory, though small in the grand scope of the war, was proof that hope and strategy could overcome even the most powerful enemy. As the fleet regrouped, Lyra looked at her family and the human crew. She realized that she had witnessed something extraordinary. Courage, skill, and trust could turn the tide of battle. Zephyra's fall was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one in which hope, unity, and determination could reclaim what was lost. The princess, once trapped in despair, now stood as a symbol of resilience. The human fleet had shown her that even in the darkest moments, alliances, bravery, and clever strategy could make a difference. And as they prepared for the next strike, Lyra knew that the final victory was within reach. The stars stretched endlessly around them. But now they felt different. They were no longer cold or distant. They were full of possibilities, courage, and the promise of a brighter future. And somewhere among them, the Kryler Dominion would soon learn that Zephyra was not defeated. Not while Princess Lyra and the human fleet fought for it. The battle for Zephyra was underway, and this time, the princess and her unexpected allies were ready. The battle for Zephyra had ended, but the air still vibrated with the echoes of conflict. The Kryler Dominion had been defeated, their armada shattered and scattered across the stars. Explosions that had once terrorized the planet were now distant memories, replaced by a cautious peace. The human fleet had played a decisive role, and Princess Lyra felt a deep sense of gratitude for their courage and skill. Lyra stood on the bridge of the flagship, gazing at the recovering planet below. Fires had mostly been extinguished, and emergency response teams were already rebuilding key infrastructure. The once ruined cities began to glow again with lights of hope. Children ran through cleared streets, laughter slowly returning to the air. She felt a rare smile cross her face. Zephyra, her home, was alive again. Captain Elias Grant approached, his expression calm but warm. "You've done something extraordinary, Princess. Your leadership combined with our fleet changed the course of this battle. Zephyra is free thanks to you." Lyra shook her head humbly. "No, Captain. We did this together. Humans, Zephyrans, everyone who refused to give up. I could not have done it alone." The two of them walked to the communication room, where reports from the ground detailed the recovery efforts. Lyra's family had been reunited with the citizens, offering comfort and support. Her parents, once weary and frightened, now looked proud of their daughter. She had faced despair and emerged stronger, guiding not only her family but an entire planet toward survival. The next few days were filled with coordination and planning. The human fleet remained near Zephyra, helping to clear remaining Kryler forces from nearby territories and ensuring that no further attacks could disrupt the planet's recovery. Lyra worked alongside them, sharing knowledge of Zephyra's technology, defenses, and infrastructure. In return, she learned from the humans. Their strategies, innovations, and discipline impressed her deeply. She realized that humans and Zephyrans were not so different. Both valued courage, ingenuity, and loyalty. Both sought peace and the protection of those they loved. As the last of the Kryler retreating ships were destroyed or captured, Lyra called a council with her family and the human commanders. "Our world has survived," she began, "but this victory is not the end. It is a beginning. We have learned that strength alone cannot protect us, but alliances, courage, and trust can." Captain Grant nodded. "Princess, our people have also learned much. We never expected to fight alongside Zephyrans, but your leadership made this possible. We believe this alliance can continue, not just for defense, but for growth, exploration, and mutual prosperity." Lyra's heart lifted. For so long she had felt hopeless, isolated, and powerless. But now she saw a future filled with possibilities. Zephyra would not only rebuild, it would thrive stronger than ever, guided by the wisdom of the past and the courage of the present. And humans, once distant and unknown, were now friends and allies. ready to face any challenge together. She spent time with her family, walking through the streets and witnessing the recovery efforts firsthand. Citizens expressed gratitude and hope, their eyes reflecting a renewed belief in life and leadership. Children, once hiding in fear, now played among the cleared streets, a living symbol of resilience. Lyra felt tears of relief, joy, and pride. She had survived the darkest moments, and her people had survived too. That evening, as the twin moons of Zephyra rose in the sky, Lyra and Captain Grant stood together on a high balcony overlooking the capital. Ships of the human fleet rested in orbit, their lights shimmering like stars in the night. Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. "I never thought hope could return so quickly, but it has, and it came from the most unexpected place." Grant smiled. "Sometimes, Princess, hope comes not from what we expect, but from what we are willing to embrace. You embraced it, and your people are alive because of it." Lyra nodded. She realized that the Krylar Dominion had underestimated not just the humans, but Zephyra itself. Together they had proven that courage, determination, and unity could overcome even the most formidable enemy. Over the next few weeks, Zephyra underwent a remarkable transformation. Buildings were reconstructed using a mix of human and Zephyran technology, blending efficiency with beauty. Communications and trade were re-established with distant worlds. Education and research resumed, with humans and Zephyrans sharing knowledge and learning from each other. The partnership between the two civilizations grew, not just as allies, but as friends united by shared goals. Lyra worked tirelessly, ensuring that no one was left behind. She met with leaders, citizens, and even small communities in remote areas, listening to their concerns and guiding recovery efforts. Her presence inspired confidence, and her partnership with the human commanders fostered cooperation and trust. Slowly, the wounds of war began to heal, replaced by hope, ambition, and a renewed sense of purpose. One evening, Lyra gathered her family and the human commanders for a ceremonial dedication. "Today we celebrate not only our survival," she said, "but the beginning of a new era. Zephyra stands strong, not alone, but with allies who have proven themselves true friends. Let this be a reminder that courage, hope, and unity can overcome even the darkest challenges." As the ceremony ended, fireworks lit the sky, casting brilliant colors across the recovering cities. Citizens cheered, and the human crew joined in, smiling at the joy and renewal around them. Lyra felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced despair, lost much, and yet found strength, hope, and friendship. She knew that this alliance with humans would not only protect Zephyra, but guide it toward a brighter future among the stars. Later, as she looked up at the stars from her private balcony, Lyra reflected on her journey. From the fall of her kingdom, the despair in the ruins, the whispers of hope, and finally, the triumph over the Krylar Dominion, every step had shaped her into a leader who understood the true meaning of courage. She had learned that even in the darkest times, allies could appear in unexpected forms, and hope could come from the most unlikely places. The twin moons bathed the city in silver light, and Lyra felt the quiet hum of life returning to her world. She thought of the human fleet now resting in orbit, ready to support Zephyra whenever needed. She thought of her family, safe and united. And she thought of her people, resilient and strong, ready to rebuild and thrive. Princess Lyra smiled, knowing that the future was no longer uncertain. With allies, courage, and hope, Zephyra could face anything. The stars above no longer seemed cold or distant. They were full of promise, adventure, and the knowledge that even in the vast galaxy, cooperation and bravery could shape destiny. The princess who had once felt alone and hopeless now stood as a symbol of resilience and unity. The human fleet had shown her that even a small group, guided by strategy, courage, and dedication, could make a difference. Zephyra had survived, the Krylar Dominion had been defeated, and the galaxy had witnessed the power of hope, courage, and alliances between civilizations. As the night deepened, Lyra whispered a silent vow. "We will protect our home. We will honor those who fought with us, and we will continue to grow." stronger together. The stars stretched endlessly above Zephyra, and for the first time in a long while they felt warm and welcoming. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknown dangers, but Lyra knew that with courage, hope, and friends like the humans, Zephyra's future was bright. Princess Lyra had lost much, but she had found something greater than she had ever imagined: hope, allies, and the strength to rise again. The story of Zephyra's fall and rebirth would be remembered across the stars, a tale of courage, friendship, and the power of never giving up, no matter how dark the night. The human fleet, once a secret force, now stood as a trusted ally and friend. Together, humans and Zephyrans would explore the stars, protect each other, and face the future with confidence and unity. And so, under the twin moons and glittering stars, a new era began. Zephyra was no longer just a planet in the galaxy. It was a symbol of resilience, courage, and hope. Princess Lyra, once lost and hopeless, now led her people into a brighter future, guided by the bonds of friendship and the knowledge that even the smallest spark of hope could ignite the brightest light. The galaxy had changed, and so had she.